Okay, so I feel much better today, but yesterday I went out, because it's been so dreary around here, and I had gone out a couple of times, and it's just been dreary. Like, you can't see right now, but I mean, it is eerie outside. It always is like gray and dark and cold, and the color, just nothing natural about it. And so when I went out yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm feeling good. I don't feel stressed out. I don't feel this impending doom or anything. And Stella really wants to go outside, so I'll go outside and do some stuff. As soon as I went out, I started feeling really weird. I started feeling like to the point where, like, am I becoming agoraphobic or something? But I know that's not true, because I love to go out. I love to get dressed up. I love to go out and do stuff. So that's not it. I just had gone out. So while I'm out there, it's just feeling like I'm starting to get really anxious. My heart's pounding. I'm feeling really weird. And so I was like, fuck this. I got to go back in. And I came back in, just try to like recenter, just like, pull myself back together, because I didn't want to go back into that darkness that I was feeling the days before, which I had to do, clearings, but I had to be aware of the energy that was around me too. Because at first I just thought, okay, I'm picking up on someone else's energy. And that's the thing, when you start realizing about the energy and stuff, and you start noticing. But then when I was out there and I came in and stuff, and then I started thinking, oh, I bet you it's the fucking, I'm sure it sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I'm sure it's the fucking toxins. I'm sure it's whatever that they're, because I swear to God, it's like we're tinted. Even when I go and drive, I can see clear lines going around of like these atmospheric changes going, and they're layered. You can see it. Like there's something going on. This is not natural. I remember what the sky looked like when I was a kid. And this is weird. And so then all the people who are like, oh, this is normal. That's what it always looks like. Then I'm like, okay, so are you just so hypnotized you think it looks like it used to look? Am I unhypnotized and now I see that it doesn't ever look like what I used to think it looked like? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure what the difference is. But I definitely started feeling like, oh, I bet you it's something in the air that is making me feel this way. Like they're gassing us or something. I don't know. But definitely coming in and just not going back outside, I started feeling much better. So I just watched a bunch of movies and just kind of laid on the couch and watched movies and just, was like, I kind of just riding this out, whatever's going on. And, but there was a few different movies that I watched. So of course I have to share my insights over what I saw. So I have a few different ones. I tried to write some of the stuff down so I wouldn't forget. But one thing that I wanted to say is, think about this. Think about what is the difference in an attractive person and an unattractive person. Like, what is the difference? Why are these people attractive and these people aren't attractive? Because I think it is the difference in self-esteem, self-care. It is, taking care of themselves, putting themselves as a priority. I feel like that is the difference. There's somebody calling. Anyways, that is the difference in if somebody's attractive or not attractive, is how much time and care they put into themselves. Do they have good self-care? Do they have good hygiene? Do they put time, money and effort into how they dress and present themselves? Do they take care of, their hair, their skin, their teeth? All of those things will make the difference over if you look at someone and you think they're attractive or not attractive. And, there are some people, of course, who, just right off the bat, as young people, that you would look at and just be like, oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. I wish I could look like that. They're so beautiful. But really, beauty on the outside like that is a temporary thing. And that is a part of a lesson. So, you know, somebody can come in and they can be like accepted as, oh, they're beautiful. They don't have to do anything. They're just beautiful. We just love them beautiful, you know, like that. But then what is that showing to them inside? Because they're not being seen for who they are. They're only being seen for the outside. And it's going to make them doubt who they are and not understand, you know, like there's growth, there's challenges to those circumstances. So don't think like, oh, just because somebody is aesthetically pleasing to look at for some people, maybe even a majority of people, that means that they have it up on somebody else. That means there's beautiful people that can be very unattractive. So I think that, you know, the more that people really understand that we're all beautiful, it all depends on how much that we love ourselves. Like if somebody has low self-esteem and they don't feel good about themselves, they're not going to put in that effort. They're going to feel like, well, I'm ugly. Nobody cares. I'm not pretty anyways. Why does it matter what I do? But when you go in and you start being like, fuck, I'm going to fucking take care of myself. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to start taking better care of my hair. I'm going to start taking better care of my teeth. I'm going to start putting a lot of effort into me and my self-care. All of a sudden you transform and you are shining like a star. You know, your beauty starts to come out because you are allowing it to come out. You are, you know, can't think of the word, but you are, you know, you are, whatever the word would be when you know, you have something and then you start caring for it. You start loving it. It will grow. So it is you has to be that thing that you care for, that you love, that you nurture and take care of. And then you will grow. So you will become a loved, nurtured, cared about person, and you will shine because of that. You don't need somebody else to come do it for you. You just have to do it for yourself. And then that is such an accomplishment too. You get to own that. Look what I did. I transformed myself. I became the beautiful person that I envied in somebody else just by starting to love myself. So I think it's a really super important thing for a lot of people to really start recognizing. And one thing too is like my stomach may start growling, but for me, my stomach's been growling and growling the whole time I've been ready to do this, but Stella was asleep and I was like, oh, I got to do this. And then I'm going to make some toast or something. But for me, like I have a certain way that I eat for myself. I have always done this intermittent fasting. Well, I said that I did it as a younger person, but then people started telling me like I had anorexia, there was something wrong with me, you know, and there's always that kind of group vision, group thought, that is what controls us. We allow that to control us. When we're the minority and there's a majority, we will try and fit into the majority. So that's what I did about the eating. Like, okay, well, maybe I'm a crazy person. Maybe I'm anorexic. Maybe, you know what I mean? But even in my gut, I knew that that wasn't right. So, you know, that really fucked with my head. But now that I've gotten to this point where, no, I'm going to eat the way that I know is right for me. And I'm going to do what I know is right for me. And I know that that has a lot to do with also communicating with my avatar. You know, it's like soul, meat, body, what I've talked about before. So to me, mine works best if I do that intermittent fasting. And so I don't eat for hours in the morning and I don't eat for hours before I go to bed. And usually I eat one large meal. It may have dessert. I'm going to eat whatever the fuck I want. And, you know, I'm not going to sit there. It's whatever my body is telling me that wants to eat, I will fucking eat it. So I don't limit myself, even though, you know, some people would say I limit myself because I don't eat meat, but I don't eat meat, not because my body is craving, because it grosses me out, because I feel like I'm chewing on flesh and it gets in my head and I can't handle eating meat like that. So anyways, for me, that intermittent fasting really works. And so, you know, like my stomach was growling and I was thinking, oh, well, you know, I haven't eaten since yesterday at like 3 or 4. But I think that that is a healthy way for my body to process food. Plus, you know, it's going to use some of the fat instead of storing it when you push it a little bit to use what it has, not save it. And there's all sorts of reasons why they'll save it. Sometimes fat will store because you're starving your body. So then it kind of panics like, well, we better hold on to some of this. Don't tell them when she's going to eat again. You have to get yourself in a rhythm. You have to tune into yourself. And everybody's different. I'm not telling anybody to go in and do what I'm doing because it works for me. No, you got to figure out what works for you. What I'm saying, though, is that you need to start questioning things. Because like I was talking to my daughter, and I had seen another lady had done, I guess this lady has made her whole platform about intermittent fasting. And so I was like, oh, cool, this woman's really explaining it well. I'm going to share it with my daughter because this is what I do. And so I shared it with her. Oh my gosh, it happens with my throat. It's horrible. So I'm going to share this with her. And so she said, no, I have to eat all the time. I have to eat all throughout the day because I'm like super fast metabolism. I'm going all the time. And, you know, and that's fine. You know, each person is individual and different. But what I'm saying about that is think about those things that you put on yourself, those rules right there. Because she just set those rules of like, okay, I have to eat this many times a day. I have to exercise this many hours a day so I can balance it out, plus be super active. And where I started gaining weight, and I'm sure I talked about this before, was when I got my brain injury and I lost my nursing license and I wasn't able to work. And I started gaining weight and I couldn't understand. And I had just had the hysterectomy because the hysterectomy was a surgery where they went in and gave me the brain injury. And so, you know, when you start talking about you're gaining weight, people are just like, well, you know, you're older. You got a hysterectomy. That's what happens. But it didn't feel like something felt so weird. And then it was, you know, I had stopped activity so much because I was so active when I was a nurse. But there's also a component of how I felt about myself and everything that was coming up in my life. So in things, when they come up in your life, like a lot of times people will hold on to pain, which will cause you to hold on to pounds because it's a protection, it's a barrier. Some people will starve themselves because they've got to abuse themselves, because they've got to beat themselves up. Like if you talk to an anorexic person, they're usually super type A. They're, you know, everything's got to be just right. They've got to be so perfect. Well, why? Whose rules are you following to be, like, where are these rules coming from? Because they're coming from you. And so in the thing is when you come up with like, okay, I've got to eat this many meals, I've got to exercise this many hours and all that stuff, you are creating what you believe is the right thing for you. So then that will be the right thing for you, because you will create it to be the right thing for you. And some people can be like, well, you know, no matter what, I can't ever get to where I want to be. I work and I just can't get there. But it's because you're telling yourself that. You've set up the rules, like you have to do this, you have to do that, and then you will be reaching your goals. But so many people, their goals are way ahead of them. They can't ever reach them because they're setting up these limitations for themselves. And they don't even have an awareness that they're doing it. Because there's so much about consciousness and how we are setting up the rules that we live by, but we don't even have awareness of it. But it is what our body and what our soul will live by, because we will set that up. And it is the same thing about like when people think like super negative about everything, and all negative stuff will just keep happening. And they'll, but it's them that is creating the scenarios by the projection that they are putting out there of what they expect. It's the same thing on the eating and the rules and stuff. It's like an expectation associated with limitations that we create for ourselves by following the rules that are given to us. So when you break free from the rules, when you start just noticing like your own limitations, like what are the limitations you're setting up for yourself? And just start noticing them. Like, okay, in my mind, I have to eat 3 times a day. I have to exercise 2 hours a week, 2 hours a week. You know, more like 5-6 hours a week. The people who get in that routine, they will exercise, exercise, exercise. You know, they will beat their bodies to death to try and reach their goals. But really, they are creating the scenario for themselves because you can completely relax back. Like, and I'm not starving myself by any means. I don't starve myself. I mean, my stomach can growl sometimes and it doesn't mean I'm starving. You know, it's just my stomach telling me like, hey, I'm empty. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, I'm not doing anything right now. I'm not like driving my car on empty, you know. I'm, you know, thinking about what I'm going to do. I'm using some old resources that are in there, burning some fat or whatever in my body that is extra. Like if you tune into your body, you'll know when your body is like, fuck that, you better sit down and eat something, you know. And I'm not saying to do that all the time, like to be push yourself to the very limit, like, oh, I'm going to starve myself. And then, no, that's not what it is about at all. So if that's what you're picking up on from what I'm saying, then I'm saying something different than that. It is way more about tuning into your body and knowing what your body needs, telling your body like what you want it to be like, you know, how you want it to look, and then listening to it, you know, like if I want my gut to be smaller and I'm like, okay, this part right here, I want this to be flatter. I want my stomach to be flatter. And then if my body says, you know, do sit-ups, do, you know, 10 sit-ups every day for the next month or whatever, and you're going to see a change. That's where you got to tune in and listen. That doesn't mean like you can just tell it and it's not going to say that you have to participate. You have to participate. That's mind, body, soul. You have to be in alignment with all things so that you can become your best self. So, you know, for me, it would be, you know, like right now my stomach's growling and I'm getting hungry and got some English muffins out and I'm going to make some toast, probably make another cup of tea, and, you know, I'll have that. I'm already planning my meal for the day. I'm going to make enchiladas. And so I will, you know, start planning my meal, and I will usually eat early. And then if I'm hungry still, I'll make something for dessert or I'll eat something else. I'll kind of spread my food out for the day. So kind of like eat early, like it's kind of like appetizers really. And then I'll eat my meal and then I'll eat a little bit more. But then I always give my body hours before I go to bed to process what I've eaten. So that's just the way that my stuff works, you know, and I don't want to limit what I want to eat. I don't want to be restrictive. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm on a diet, I can't eat that. No, I want to eat whatever I want to eat. If my body says, hey, and my body likes fried food, I'll tell you, and it likes sugar. Fried food and sugar definitely is a thing that my body likes, which I believe all comes from our DNA, which comes from through our ancestry, where our people were, that what they had to eat to survive. You know, like it used to be before there was grocery stores, you had to eat what was there locally. You had to survive on what you had as local foods. And so that would be what you had to eat. And that is in our DNA. And, you know, because there's part of our DNA that holds our soul imprint, and part of it holds our ancestry imprint. Like it all goes together. It's all a woven fabric. And so each person has to figure out for their own selves. Like some people, you're not going to feel grossed out by eating meat. It's going to be like you need meat. Your body craves meat. Meat makes you feel good because it was probably a place where there was not a lot of vegetation, and that's what people had to survive on, was eating meat. So that is inside your DNA. You don't have to fight against your DNA and go like, no, the rules say I've got to be vegan, so I better be vegan, and I'm going to do this no matter what my body says. My body can crave meat all day long. Your body's telling you what it needs. So that is where you come up with these limitations. You come up with the rules because, oh, well, if a vegan, you know, then I can be accepted. Then I'm going to be, you know, whatever it is that in your mind thinks that comes with. So then you start trying to be this thing that you think is going to make you better somehow. But it isn't. That's for somebody else. You're trying to follow somebody else's stuff. And so you don't want to just follow blindly in someone else's stuff. You want to tune into your own self, like tune into your own body. Like when you're hungry, am I being hungry, or am I just emotionally feeling like I need to put something in my mouth? Is it a real hunger? What is my body saying it needs or wants right now? Is it saying, get up and move around, get up and do some movement? You know, we need to move here, do some stretches, you know, just, that's where you need to tune in, because you don't have to do all this extra work. You don't have to go and exercise 8 hours a day so that you can be fit. You just have to have movement as a part of your life, and don't put in more of the energies than your body requires. It's all just tuning into yourself, you know, and figuring out your own self. And so the more that you can do that and stop following the rules. So just look at your own limitations. Look at your own rules that you're trying to follow. I'm trying to understand, like, why do I think if I'm this way, that is this going to make me a better person? Is this going to make me more accepted? Is this just because this is an agenda that they're pushing? And so I'm trying to be, you know, the good person and follow the agenda, because no, that's what we want to break free from. All of the agendas are all fake and phony. It's all a narrative, like this fucking Oscars bullshit. Like, I can't even believe that people would think the whole thing, nobody wanted to have anything to do with the Oscars. People are sick of the whole celebrity status. They're sick of idolizing people. They're sick of the bullshit. They're sick of being told how to be and how to act. And so, you know, those things are dying off. Like the Oscars are dying off. All of these creations that they've created it's like sometimes I get all these different words coming into my head, but it's like, no, not that one. No, not that one. But you know what I'm saying is they create this certain way so that we will follow these people. So they will take certain people and they will make them famous. Like, I'm still really stuck on this whole freaking thing about taking these lead actresses and then like, oh, it's such a challenge. Oh, I played a fat and ugly person, and, you know, I really did a good job. It was very much a challenge for me. So, you know, I should have a lot of respect for how great an actress I am. It's like, oh God, please. There's so many fucking actresses and actors out there, character actors and actresses trying to make it, who could go in and do that part and, you know, rock that part. We don't need some fucking, the whole thing. But they have to promote certain people because those people are our idols. They're the ones that we've got to listen to. When they go on, you know, and do their press circuit thing or whatever, when they put out a movie, and, you know, they're going to let us know about this social, the social problems that are important to them and how we should look at it and what we should be doing. Those people are just paid spokespeople for the deep state. And they give them awards and shit. And then they give them these shows so that we can all go in and watch how great they are, so that they can feed their egos. But at the same time, they're destroying humanity because they're playing a pretty sick part. Because they're the spokespeople. They're the Pied Pipers. They're there to lead us off the fucking cliff. So, but you have to wake up to that. But the whole thing is that people are pulling free from this Oscars. They're not wanting to have anything to do with celebrities and the woke bullshit and all of the shit that's being pushed on us. So then when they are going to have this, big drama at the Oscars, someone's going to come up and punch somebody or slap them or whatever and start yelling and make a scene. Bullshit. Bullshit. And another thing that is so disgusting and honestly very sad is that what they would use to think that they will catch us all. It's not even, they're not even fucking using worms, dude. They're fucking using lures. They fucking will get people to just, you know, oh, go right in there, catch them by drama and violence. It's like, come on, people. Like, how much of this Kardashian bullshit mentality do people have? Like, why in the world would everybody want to run in and see the drama between Chris Rock and Will Smith? I don't even think that's really Will Smith, I swear to God. He doesn't look like, so I don't know what's going on, but I don't think that's Dave Chappelle. Like, there's a bunch of people who, it's like, I don't know what the hell, you know, if there's a whole thing with the clone stuff, like there's so much stuff about that. You know, is it lookalikes? And, you know, they build a career for somebody and the person says, fuck this, I don't want anything to do with this. So they kill them off or send them out in exile, and then they just get a lookalike to take their place. I mean, that's what these people do. Everything is not real. And they are creating an illusion so that you believe it's real, but it's not real. And so, yeah, people want to jump in. Oh my God, yeah, the drama at the Oscars. Oh my God. Yeah, what next? We're gonna have Will Smith pull out a gun and start shooting at Chris Rock, and then people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, yeah, I'm gonna tune in. So much drama." It's like, fuck off with this shit. God, I can't. I mean, I really get bothered by people just showing their ignorance of what is important to them. Drama, violence, drugs. It's, you know, we've got to move past this stuff. This is the stuff that they have used to control your emotions, to draw you in. And at the same time, they're creating idiocracy. So, you know, it's up to us to see through the illusion. It's up to us to recognize, you know, what's wrong here. And each person has to wake up to it, their own selves. And it's a process for consciousness to wake up. But it's sad when you see how low they set the bar to draw us back in. They don't even have to try hard. I mean, I don't even think the lure is a color that even would be I mean, it's just obvious. It's so fucking obvious. There's no trickery, you know. Right now, stuff is so obvious. It's so transparent. And this is another thing too I wanted to share, because okay, if we're not living on a globe, right? Then where's the equator? Is there an equator? Is the sun have a true pattern? Does the moon have a true pattern? Do we only believe what we're told and we're stop paying attention? That's what I think. So the whole thing is so I watched this one movie. I'm pretty sure it was this movie. It was called Master. It's on Prime. And I thought it was going to be about art master. I didn't know it was going to be this whole college thing. I thought it was about a woman being the first black master of art or something. I don't know why I thought that, but I had no idea. It was called a master, whoever is over the dorms in these old Southern colleges, which was always white people. And then this was the first black one. But they were doing this whole campaign to show how progressive they were as a university. They weren't racist, but really they were all racist behind the scenes. So there's just so much, there's just so much stuff. Like, so in this movie, this girl, somebody was looking at these pictures because they found all this racist stuff. And they were looking at this picture, and the diagram was showing a monkey, like a monkey face and head to a black man. So showing like, oh, look, they're just barely, you know, they've gone from a monkey and then they, you know, just became a black man or something, you know, like they try and do that to show like we're all like different or something. Like, I'm not even sure, you know, what their whole creation with this racism thing is. Like, I mean, I know that they want to take out the darker, the melanin has something to do with the iron and your transmission and your spiritual soul. You know, the more white that they try and create, I think they are trying to take away our our melanin in our blood, and because it stops the transmission so much of your soul, just like them trying to make us take fluoride to destroy our pineal gland. So they do these things on purpose. But, you know, they're lying about everything, so they got to blame it on other things. So the thing is when they were showing this, right, of this picture, which we've all seen these things where they're always trying to say, you know, like black people are barely different than monkeys or some bullshit like that. So I was watching this movie yesterday, and it was, I actually finished it today. I just started it last night, and then I finished it this morning. But it had Kevin Kline in it and Sissy Spacek. I'm really liking the old movies, but there was one thing for sure. When you're watching the old movies, you definitely see this stuff with the generation. You see the, you just start seeing a lot just when you're paying attention. So he was supposed to be a high school student, and they're madly in love or something, and he has his shirt off, and he was so freaking hairy. And I'm thinking, this is so weird. Like, he's supposed to be in high school, and he's so hairy. And it just got me to thinking, well, that's weird, because black people are supposed to be so close to monkeys, but they're not hairy. You don't find hairy black people. You don't find hairy. There's a lot of darker skinned people that, I mean, Native Americans don't have hair. They are, I mean, they can have long hair, but their arms, their chest, and stuff like that aren't really hairy. And so I started thinking about, like, all these different white people and how hairy they are. So wouldn't they be closer to a monkey? Like, if you're all hairy, than just like your bone structure? I don't know. But there's something weird about it. And then I started thinking about, you know, like the equator thing. That's off the table to me now. I used to think that's what everything was about, was the equator, of the color of your skin. But now that I don't see it as a globe, I don't see it the same with the equator. I don't see anything the same. So then I started thinking, well, it's weird because, you know, I mean, we know what the Aryan nation was trying to do. We know what, you know, old Hitler was trying to do. And this super white race. But really, the super white race they want are just droids. They're just people who are easily controlled because they're not connected to anything. So it's like they're trying to take the color out of people to create their pure race, right? But their pure race is about control. It's about being enslaved. And think about this too, of all of the dark different countries, what they've done to them. They've made them third world countries. They've taken resources from them. They made them poverty. And then you think about what they've done in America, where they isolated and segregated people that were darker. And then you think about like over in like Finland and Switzerland and stuff like that. You have all of these super fair-skinned, white-haired people. And I was thinking, you know, that's weird. I mean, maybe, you know, it's because they don't have a lot of sun. But really, if you put a black person in there, would they stop being black? So I was like, okay. There's a lot of stuff about Switzerland. And, I mean, these scientists didn't just show up, you know, because, you know, Hitler didn't just go out and find them. These experiments have been going on since the beginning. I think that because that they know that we were created to begin with, that they think, oh, now we are so highly sophisticated and technologically advanced, we can do experiments on these people. Plus, they do have like certain species that are here that give them information. So, you know, like the Dracos, or, you know, a lot of people say the reptilians, the grays. The small grays are just droids. They aren't organic beings. And so the tall grays, those ones are actual beings, but the small grays, those are like their little, because this vibration, this atmosphere is hard to come into. So they send the little droids down. And, you know, they're trying to create that here with us. So when you start thinking about those people over there and Switzerland, I think that there's probably a lot of labs up there in the Alps. I think that, and I had heard I've heard a lot of things, you know, you can go look up some stuff for yourself, but I've definitely heard a lot of things over the past year and a half with Switzerland, and I mean, the same kind of stuff like what is going with the Ukraine and stuff like that right now, like all these labs and stuff. Well, same thing. So if they were being successful over in that part, it was something that they're doing. I mean, I don't know, because it's been going on for such a long time. It's really hard to say, but I swear there's something to this. There's more to the story of the color of us and the amount of hair we have and all of that stuff than what they're saying. I don't think it has to do with the equator. I think it has to do with science. I think it has to do with what they're doing to us. And, you know, they definitely use a lot of chemicals. Like yesterday when I was talking to my friend, and she was talking, the one in Australia, and how many people are dropping dead over there. And then I was seeing on TikTok, people talking about people dropping dead and stuff. And, you know, there's a lot of people who are dropping dead. And in Australia, they said, they put out an announcement that we're going to start seeing, there's an epidemic of young people now dying of heart attack. There's just so many. It's like, well, I mean, this is up to each person to start questioning. So why? Why would suddenly all of these young people start dying of a heart attack? Like, what in the world would be going on? Well, you know, it's the chemicals and the toxins that they are putting into our systems and into our environment, and that is creating sickness. And, you know, but that's their whole agenda. So if you start paying attention about the people having the heart attack, then you got to be thinking like, okay, so why are they dying? Like I did that little short yesterday, because I remember when there was such a push for the defibrillators to be in everybody's house, to be everywhere. Every restaurant, every place had to have these defibrillators. There was no reason for people to have a heart attack and die anymore. That, you know, we should all know CPR. We should all be able to do life-saving techniques to help somebody. All you have to do is do it till the ambulance gets there. So why in the world, how could there be all these people dying? Is there nobody around that's doing CPR? Is the CPR not helping? Why isn't the CPR helping? Why isn't it saving lives? You know, what happened when they were sitting there telling us that we're getting rid of heart attacks, and now all of a sudden they're telling us, oh no, be prepared. I mean, all ages, that's it. We're all going to die of a heart attack. Well, I mean, the same thing is where people accept autism, they accept cancer, they accept all of these things as just being a part of our life. But why? How did they become a part of our life? Like, that is where you got to start questioning things. You got to start seeing through it. And we are all an experiment. I've been talking about this for so long. I mean, they were telling me when I was a little kid, and, you know, just start paying attention, because it is. We are experiments all over the place. And that's why I know whatever is going on here, it would be isolated from what's going on in other places, because we are separate. We're separate petri trays all over the place. There are petri dishes. We're just all an experiment to them. And, you know, they're so much further more sophisticated than what people understand. Their technology is so much more advanced, and they have an agenda. And they know that a soul will go on without a body. They don't care. They're just experimenting on the bodies. They don't care. But for us, when they're training us to disconnect from our soul, then we get all caught up. You know, we think this is all life is. This is it. And emotionally, we start being so defeated. But see, that's where all of a sudden this antidepressants, I mean, the amount of antidepressants, the push for these kind of drugs right now is off the chain. So anyways, you got to start noticing all of these different things and just start putting things together. You don't have to do and say the things that I do and say. You just have to tune into yourself and start paying attention. Pay attention to what's going on in your area, what's happening with the people around you. Because that's what is the most important thing. It is what is happening around you in your orbit. What is your life showing? What is your place showing? What is it you need to be learning? And, you know, because we have all these things going on all around the planet. But, you know, I mean, when I started really thinking about like this, the hair thing, and I don't know, it's just the way that when they show me things, the way that they show them to me, it always just clicks in my head, and I just see like what they're showing me. And yeah, they want to push this thing about, you know, black people or whatever, but, you know, I mean, start questioning, really, what is the difference? You know, there's something going on there, and it isn't what we're being told. You know, I don't know what it is. I'm just putting out there, you know, I'm just putting some guesses out, you know, I'm just putting out like some things I'm noticing, some things that come into my mind. And, you know, I don't know what all the truth is. I don't know if we're going to all know what all the truth is. I think there's going to be a lot of truth. I think there's going to be a lot of truth, and it's going to have a lot to do with the experiments, our true history. But I think a lot of it is going to be about where we're really truly headed. And that is where we're headed to become more evolved, more spiritually connected to ourselves, to others, to our environment, to nature. And that is what our future is going to look like. You know, and this whole thing that's happening is just, you know, it's like the Oscars. As things are dying off because they don't have a place in our new world. So they all are going to be dying off. So like I've said a million times, don't hold on to these old structures of this old life that used to be on the planet, because that life isn't going to be there anymore. That life is ending. And if you see that as Armageddon, if you see that as the end of the world, because these old paradigms, this old limitations, this old structures that were limiting us in being able to live freely, if you see that as being real life, then yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful to watch it crash and burn. But when you start realizing, you know, it's like we were all in an amusement park, and the amusement park trapped us, and the only way out of it is for the amusement park to burn down around us so that we can get free. Because that's how I look at it. So anyways, it's just some things to think about. Just, you know, just look at things in a more broader perspective. Look at things deeper. Don't look at it the way that they tell us to look at it, because they just want to hang little lures. And they're not even getting fancy ones, people. So anyways, I'll talk to you later. Bye.